So yesterday we did talk about the levels of supply chain, decision making levels in supply chain. Now, for a manager, for a supply chain manager, it is important that if you are looking at supply chain, your own supply chain, then it is important that you should have a point of view, or you can say a reference with which you should be looking towards your supply chain. If you have to find out what are the problems in my supply chain, so how should I orient my thinking? Okay, so for that, there are two views in supply chain. There is a cycle view, and there is another view which is, I mean, you can say process view and push pull view. Cycle view and push and pull view. What it means that if I am if I want to find out who is responsible for this process which is happening in supply chain, I should be using cycle view. And if I want to find out that who in supply chain should keep inventory and who in supply chain can afford to do away with inventory. Okay, so in that situation, I'm going to use push or pull view. So let's understand these two cycles one at a time. So cycle view is a view in which we divide the supply chain into series of cycles, and where each will perform their own functions. So the cycle view is somewhat like this. There are basically four cycles in a typical supply chain. I won't say it is a typical supply chain. That it's not that every supply chain will have these cycles, but a typical or a generic or a most common type of supply chain will have these cycles. So there you have customer at the top, that's upstream, customer, retailer, distributor, manufacturer, and supplier. Okay, these are your typical players in a typical supply chain. So between customer and retailer there is a cycle, between distributor and retailer there is a cycle, between manufacturer and distributor there is a cycle, and between supplier and manufacturer there is a cycle. So basically four cycles are there. So we call the one between retailer and consumer as a customer order cycle. Customer order cycle. And between retailer and distributor we have replenishment cycle. And between manufacturer and distributor we have manufacturing cycle. And between manufacturing and uh, supplier, you can say we have procurement cycle. So these are four different type of cycles which are there, and each of these cycles have different uh, activities. Now, before we go ahead, can anyone tell me what is the difference between replenishment cycle and procurement cycle? What is the difference between word and replenishment and procurement? Anyone? Anyone who's ever heard? So let's say we take a typical case of, let's say, cloth manufacturing. Okay, so the raw material for cloth is cotton. Yes, sir. Okay, so cotton, and then cotton is converted into threads and all. So let's assume that the threads are going to the manufacturer. So manufacturer is procuring threads, which is not even semi-finished product. The manufacturer is making shirts or whatever clothes you are wearing. So it's using that cotton thread. So the supplier is the cotton, I mean the thread making entity, which is a supplier. So we are saying it is a procurement cycle. That means you are procuring a raw material. The word procurement is generally related with raw material. Okay, and then it goes to the manufacturer, where all the activities of manufacturing takes place, and after that it goes to the distributor, where uh, that there's an interface between distributor and retailer, which we call it as a replenishment cycle. So replenishment and procurement, in both the cases there is no manufacturing going on, but words are different. I mean, the movement of the material only is happening in both the cases. So the thing is, in replenishment we generally use the word when we uh, want to you want to have new inventory, when we want to have new inventory of finished product. Let's say the soaps in your house are not there, they have been used up. So you go to market to replenish the soaps. You don't procure the soaps. It's a technical word in supply chain terms. So whenever we are dealing with procurement of raw material, or I mean, say, let's not even use procurement here. So when we are purchasing raw material from a supplier, we say it is procurement. And when we are purchasing invent- inventory of the finished product, we say it is replenishment. And then it goes to the customer. So what are typical activities in both the cases? Let's have a look at them. So in typical customer order cycle, what's going to happen is uh, customer is going to come, and then order entry is going to take place, order fulfillment will be there, and order receiving by the customer. So receipt will be there, there is an placement by the customer, and in between there is fulfillment process, so which could also involve logistics. Then in replenishment cycle, retail order is triggered, then retail order entry just like customer order entry, retail order fulfillment just like customer order fulfillment, and retail order receiving. So all these activities are more or less same in both the cycles. And then, but in manufacturing cycles, things will be different, as is between replenishment and customer. Unlike that, the activities of manufacturing cycle are very much different. So order arrival from distributor or retailer will be there, or even customer may send a direct order to manufacturer. Then production scheduling will take place in the plant, where when the product has to be made, if a order is received from customer side, when do we make it and all. And then it will involve receiving at the distributor end. Okay, and the procurement cycle is mostly about receiving orders from manufacturer for the raw material or the semi-finished products, and after that component orders uh, can be, I mean, the orders can be decided that it can match the production scheduling requirements of the manufacturer. So this is one activity which should be added in the procurement cycle. Okay, then we come to push and pull view. So this is the cycle inventory, and now we come to push and pull view. So before we even go to push and pull view, there is a term called bullwhip effect that we need to understand. Bullwhip effect. In order to make it understand in a better way, I'll first show you a video.
What is the bullwhip effect? The bullwhip effect is the unexpected distortion of the supply chain caused by repetitive variation in demand. The unplanned demand from retailer oscillates back to the distributor and finally to the supplier, magnifying through each level of the supply chain. Why is it called?
So what you see over here is we are trying to exhibit a bullwhip effect over here. So there is a typical supply chain, and your this sketch, it is showing on y-axis you have quantity, and on x-axis you have time. So if the order is placed by a customer at, let's say, January, okay, by the time it reaches retailer, I mean, say not one customer but multiple customers or set of customers, by the time this demand which is being generated at the customer's end is, because see, the demand of, let's say, 100 customers we talk about, in a certain locality there are 100 customers using a certain product. So their demand does not come in discrete packets.
The bullwhip effect?
Okay, so the demand does not come in discrete packets. Here it is assumed that the demand gets increased. Demand does not get propagated immediately to the retailer. There will be some time gap between. So let's say January 1, the demand has been generated of 100 customers. So that demand may take another 7 days to propagate to the retailer. Okay. Why that happens is, for the simple reason, let's say uh, you realize that some product in your household is getting depleted. Let's say you're stocking flour, atta. So you know that now another 7 days it's going to get depleted. Actually, your demand starts from there only, and you're going to go to buy the same on the seventh day. Okay, so this demand is that demand. So it gets propagated to the retailer on the seventh day. Hmm. And then similarly the actual demand of the retailer gets propagated to the distributor on another 21st day, and that demand again gets propagated to manufacturer on 28th day, and to the supplier it goes on the after another 7 days, you can say 5th of the other month, next month. Now here what peculiar thing that you are observing over here is that this little hump that you see over here, it is growing as it is propagating to the lower levels, that is towards the supplier. The hump is getting higher. Okay, so and also besides getting higher, it is also getting wide. So there we see there is an increase in demand, and at the same time the variation in the demand is also increasing. Variation how? You see this range which is there, this is small circle over here. Then after I mean small semicircle you can say, or small curve over here. small curve from the height point of view as well as the width point of view. Similarly, here you see now the range is increasing. So this I'm going to call not width but range. Here again the demand range is increasing. Okay, this hump could be on the left side or the right side also. Okay, the height may also be, it may have higher height or probably it may have shorter height, but the width may be even wider. So here the bigger concern is the width, which is indicating the probable variation which is going to exist. And this variation is increasing when we are going down the supply chain. And why it is increasing, we will see that.
And finally to the supplier, magnifying through each level of the supply chain. Why is it called the bullwhip effect? As the oscillating demand magnifies upstream in the supply chain, it is reminiscent of a cracking whip.
Why is this a problem? Well, this can have a negative effect on business performance, such as inventory disruptions, quality control problems, diminished customer service, and increased costs of material and manpower. Welcome to Procter & Gamble, manufacturer of Pampers disposable diapers. Let us introduce you to their supply and demand chain, which is similar to most supply and demand chains. This is little Martin, our consumer at the customer end. He may look cute and adorable now, but wait until you see the havoc he is about to cause. Or maybe we should say the havoc his mommy is about to cause. This is your typical retail store Walmart, one of many, which stocks and sells Pampers diapers. Walmart
So a retail store is there. It's a supermarket and they are storing diapers. Okay. So
is having a sale this weekend and running Pampers as a loss leader, 50% off. All the mummies are very excited, so they are planning to stock up. Walmart
see, it is a big problem. I mean, why diapers have been taken is it's sort of a waste product only. So the cost of diaper is slightly on the higher side if you talk about Pampers. One single piece may cost around 35 to 45 rupees, and a child may require 3 to 4 diapers in a day. And if you look across the month, the cost will be pretty high. So the parents would generally look for stocking up the diapers whenever they get it in a lesser price. Okay, so that's why the problem is very much relevant over here, especially concerning to the diapers. And of course, it is pretty much applicable to most of the products we can assume.
orders in bulk from its distributor, BS Distributors, taking all its safety stock in the process. BS has no stock left to supply Walmart or any other retailer for that matter. Not knowing what is going on and where all these babies suddenly came from, BS places a big order to replenish its inventory with the factory. Procter & Gamble's factory gets the big order and starts manufacturing in overdrive. But first it has to negotiate with the union regarding overtime pay and get a lot more supplies from its suppliers. To get the production on track for the new influx of babies, the supplier is not prepared for this sudden large order and has insufficient raw material required to make the diapers. Because it does not have enough stock, the supplier causes additional delays in production. Meanwhile, Walmart places another.
So I'll summarize what the lady was saying in the video, that because of the heavy discounts, people flocked around the supermarket and finished up whatever stock was there. Now, because of that, uh, and while supplier, you can say manufacturer, had no idea that some this kind of discounting is going on. So they thought that the demand has got inflated. So what they do is now they communicate it to Procter and Gamble. "Oh, now we have to produce more in order because the demand has got inflated up. I mean, people started to use more diapers anyway. So they start to manufacture more. They have to do overtime, over shifts, and they are making it more. Now let's see that what's happening.
Another order that is bigger than normal because it had great sales this weekend and no stock left. But the distributor is panicking because they have no stock.
So here there is a sudden upshift in the demand. Now retailer is realizing that there is a sudden change in the demand.
Stock left and the factory has not sent nearly enough to cover the orders. So the distributor places yet another big order. And so it continues. Because no one is getting their orders, they carry on placing bigger orders still, compounding the problem. The factory is taking strain. Suppliers are under pressure. Distributors are panicking. Retailers are upset because they didn't get their orders. Mommies that could not get to the Walmart sale are upset because they have to buy Snuggies. And ones that made it don't know what the fuss is all about. By the time the factory
So in a way, although demand is same, the demand has not changed, and some of the parents who were able to stock, they stocked it, but there will be many customers who did not who can't afford to do overstocking because you just have certain budget for every month, so they were not able to overstock. And if they are not able to overstock, when they went there, there is a shortage. So again, the shortage, this is also called shortage gaming, but we'll come to that later. The shortage is happening again and again, and people are, I mean, really annoyed. Customers are shifting to different brands.
starts delivering, everybody downstream starts canceling their orders, and the factory is left with an oversupply of stock.
While actually what has happened is, now the parents have shifted to different brand because the other was not available. The demand is, I mean, and then the retailer order cancels the order, uh, and you can say, because it is not there, other people have started purchasing the other brand. So because of which now the demand for the PNG Pampers has gone down. Okay, there was an artificial inflation because of the sales, uh, and now the demand has gone down. So when the demand has gone down, retailers cancel their order. If retailers cancel the order, distributor also cancel the order. While at the same time, manufacturer thought that the demand has increased a lot. So manufacturer has made lot of diapers, and they are now sitting in the factory. वो वहाँ पे factory में overstocked है.
So why does this matter? Well, because of the stockout, baby has to wear Snuggies which give him a rash. Walmart lost sales and consumers are unhappy because they did not have stock. BS distributors' retail customers are unhappy because it took so long to supply them with stock, and they in turn are in the dog box with the factory for cancelling half their orders. The factory incurred additional costs to get the orders out faster, and the suppliers incurred additional costs in sourcing raw material for the factory, and now their orders have been cut in half.
So now that you know what the bullwhip effect is, you probably want to know what causes it and how we can prevent it. There are numerous factors, often in combination, which
So the prevention of bullwhip effect we'll be talking about it throughout the course. But let's again have a look at.
contribute to the bullwhip effect. We will consider four of the major causes. Price fluctuations and sales promotions. Sales promotions and price discounts result in customers buying in large quantities and stocking up. As a
So first reason for bullwhip effect is said to be price fluctuation. So when price fluctuates, then customers are wary of the higher prices. So whenever the price goes down, they purchase in lot amounts.
result, the buying pattern does not reflect the actual consumption. Order batching. Companies place orders in batches, often to avoid the cost of processing orders more frequently or to
Order batching is the second reason. Order batching, I have also talked about it earlier. I did give you an example of, let's say a household is using 10 soaps in a month, and will it be wise to purchase one soap at a time or together 10 soaps? So all of you agreed that 10 soaps together because it brings down the overhead costs of transportation. So if the 5 rupees is the cost of transportation, so every time if I go to purchase one soap, I'll be adding 5 rupees in the, so it will cost me 50 rupees to get those soaps, all the 10 soaps. While if I get all 10 together, it will only be 5 rupees. So that is economies of scale. So because of that, no, you try to club your demand together. Same thing companies also do. There is some minimum order quantity that you have to place an order. Might have seen in Amazon also that you have to place minimum of this much amount of uh, order, then only you can purchase certain things. So that is called order batching. Now, because of order batching, what happens is you tend to overstock, or you tend to over order more than what is required.
To avoid the high transportation costs for less than truckload orders. Shortage gaming. If product demand exceeds supply, manufacturers ration products, while customers
So shortage gaming is another third one, which you often see with onions and potatoes in Indian economy. So let's say the demand goes higher than the supply. So it is a general tendency of a human being to become greedy about it. So what they'll do is they increase the price. We might have seen during the second corona peak also. So what happened that the basic instruments like oximeters, which generally cost around 4 to 500 rupees, suddenly when the peak was there and there's the news, it was just picking up, gaining a lot of momentum. So people, these retailers, they increase the prices of these oximeters by, let's say, the thing which was costing 300 rupees, now it was costing 2500 to 300 rupees. So they did shortage gaming. Okay, so same thing happened with the remdesivir also. So you can say it sort of indicates a phenomena of black marketing of the products. They um, when the shortage is there, they increase the prices.
exaggerate their orders to counteract the rationing. Eventually, orders will disappear and cancellations will pour in, making
So because of which, no, now people would overstock things. When now the demand of all these things are not there, so probably people would purchase it in advance and keep it.
it
So
impossible for the
the manufacturer may think that okay, the demand has increased while it is still not there.
manufacturer to determine the real demand for its product. Demand forecasts and accuracies. As each entity along the chain places an order, it replenishes stock and includes some safety stock. With long lead times, there may be weeks of safety stock, which make the fluctuation in demand more significant.
Then you have the fourth reason is forecasting inaccuracies, because you use certain algorithms, you use the past data to find out the forecast. And forecasts are always wrong. I mean, you can consider the weather. Every day there is announcement that okay, it's going to rain heavily, and probably it does not rain at all. So similarly, it happens with the demand also. You predict some demand, that there's going to be demand of certain product and this much quantity will be required, but it will not be exactly same amount of quantity. Let's say you generally talk in whole numbers or round figures. So the demand may not be in exactly the amount like 3000 or 4000, but you're planning for that amount only. You don't go for the demand will be 3167. Okay, that might be the actual demand, but you plan for 3000. Okay, so forecasts are always wrong, is a word which goes out in the operations management area. So this forecasting inaccuracies also leads to a lot of guessing work, and when the guessing work is there, then these kind of fluctuations do happen.
Countermeasures to fluctuating prices. Fluctuating prices can be replaced with everyday low prices.
Everyday low prices is a phenomena where you also से टू कस्टमर कि ऐसा नहीं है कि ये एमआरपी पे आ जाएगा, अभी आज हम डिस्काउंट दे रहे हैं, बट ऐसा नहीं है कि कल ये एमआरपी पे आ जाएगा, हो सकता है कल भी कम रहे, हो सकता है कि 4 दिन बाद भी कम रहे. सो ऑल दिस कैन हैपन, राइट? So they practice everyday low pricing. Now you can even see in these big bazaar or Reliance Geo people and all that they write these terms like रोज हर रोज सस्ता है, something like this. These kind of slogans they're going to write in their website. You can still Google and check it. They write it is called everyday low pricing, EDLP. So with this, just a second. Yeah, sorry for the disturbance. So, everyday low pricing is the term which is very much used by these, uh, you can say, supermarkets or places where a lot of customers are there. The volume of the customers is high, and there is a tendency of customers to go for uh, bulk buying and all. So everyday low pricing is something you never know that when it's going to hit the bottom, when the discounts will hit the bottom. So I mean the prices are going to hit the bottom, not the discount. So you never know. So every day the prices are going to change. So that keeps the uh, customer guessing. People don't overstock in those situations.
Countermeasures to order batching.
So if order batching is a problem, then you do frequent ordering. How frequent ordering? But then if you do frequent ordering, then the sizes of the orders is going to be small. And if the sizes of orders are small, then there is a possibility of high transportation cost and stockouts. So this is what Toyota is good at. They have mastered this strategy and taught people around the world how to do that. We will talk about it later. So there's another way of stopping the order batching is to order frequently.
More frequent ordering results in smaller orders and smaller variants. Countermeasures to shortage gaming. Proportional rationing schemes.
So shortage gaming could be not based on what retailer orders or not based on what distributor orders. Okay, the orders which manufacturer is going to take from distributor or the orders what distributor is going to take from retailer, that should be based on forecast of the sales history, sales and not the sales is like actual demand. Okay, so some retailer is saying my demand is 1000 units, so you give me 1500 units, while actually his demand is 700 units only. But in order to take advantage of the lower prices, he is trying to order in a larger amount. So in order to stop that, you do forecast on not the order given by the retailer, but on the actual sales of the retailer. So here's where the information technology comes into place, where whenever a product is being sold, it will be scanned and this demand will be known by the manufacturer. So he'll be able to capture the real demand. So same things happening with vaccines. You can say that every state is saying we need these many vaccines, these many vaccines, and probably they are inflating it so that they can keep and more stock of the vaccine with them. So that's also happens. So the government should uh, probably they are doing it. The rate at which they're probably monitoring the central team, that rate at which the vaccine is being used in a certain state, and according to that only they are giving it to state and not just giving it what they want. And then there is forecasting inaccuracies. So what do we do?
Are countered by allocating units based on past sales. Ignorance of supply chain conditions can be addressed by sharing capacity and supply information across the entire supply chain. Countermeasures to demand forecast inaccuracies. Lack of demand visibility can be addressed by providing access to point-of-sale data. Single control of replenishment or vendor management inventory can overcome exaggerated demand forecasts. Long lead times should be reduced as much as possible.
With all this said, it's actually all about
Communication,
communication,
communication.
So communication becomes a major issue when we are trying to run a supply chain smoothly. Okay, and it is the uh, it is the solution for the Bullwhip effect. Now there's one more video which will help you in revising Bullwhip effect.
Bullwhip effect refers to a frustrating phenomenon that frequently starts with falling customer demand or Welcome to the Investors Trading Academy talking glossary of financial terms and events. Our word of the day is bullwhip effect. The bullwhip effect refers to a frustrating phenomenon that frequently starts with falling customer demand, although it could start with the reverse, a previously unanticipated rapid rise in customer demand. This falling customer demand prompts retail.
So you can see here again, this is the demand of the end consumer. This is how it is varying across time. When it reaches a retailer, you can see there is more variation. So variation is what is the problem, and not the size of the order is not the problem, but the variation, because variation brings a lot of uncertainty in the scenario. So here you can see the spikes are more, the ups and downs are more, the crest and the trough are more for retailer, and wholesaler is it is again increasing, and for the manufacturer it is again increasing. So as you go in, as you go upstream in supply chain from end consumer to manufacturer, the demand variation, it is not the demand which is increasing. It is not the problem of the increase in demand, but there is an increase in variation in demand. Probably if you find out mean demand for all of these is same, you can still see that the mean might come out to be the same only, but the variation is high, which is causing a problem. Because if I tell you today the class is at 9 o'clock, tomorrow I'm going to tell you it is at 10 o'clock, day after tomorrow I'll tell you it is at 11, and after that tell you it is 12. So will that not be annoying for you? So same thing is happening with the people in the supply chain as well. The variation, the whole problem of running a supply chain is the variation in the demand, and how to handle that variation is a big deal.
Retailers to under order so as to reduce their inventories. The bullwhip effect can be explained as an occurrence detected by the supply chain where orders sent to the manufacturer and supplier create larger variance than the sales to the end customer. These irregular orders in the lower part of the supply chain develop to be more distinct higher up in the supply chain. This variance can interrupt the smoothness of the supply chain process, as each link in the supply chain will over or underestimate the product demand, resulting in exaggerated fluctuations. Through the numerous stages of a supply chain, key factors such as time and supply of order decisions, demand for the supply, lack of communication and disorganization can result in one of the most common problems in supply chain management. This common problem is known as the bullwhip effect.
So what happens because of bullwhip effect is, as is written over here, it leads to excess inventories. We've already taken that example of diapers. The problems with quality may be there, because if in initial stages, if demand is suddenly high, you may try to push in more products in the more of the units in supply chain, and because of which the quality problems may come. The raw material cost may get inflated. There will be overtime expenses, as we had taken that earlier. There will be increased shipping cost, because I mean the system is overloaded anyway. So customer may get dissatisfied because of the shortages. The lead times may be more, because you are trying to make the product which is not there on the shelves initially, and lead times more, right? Lost sales, unnecessary adjusted capacity means you thought that there's high demand, so you purchase more machines to produce the product, while the demand was not actually high.
Also, sometimes the whiplash effect. In this blog post, we will explain this concept and outline some of the contributing factors to this issue.
Okay, so we did learn about Bullwhip effect today. Okay, and I'll just quickly recap what we've done. So what we've done today is that we talked about the there are two views in supply chain. There is a cycle view, and there is a push and pull view. there are four basic cycles, you can say, in the cycle view. That is customer order cycle, uh, replenishment cycle, manufacturing cycle, and the procurement cycle. So if a manufacturer has to know that who is responsible for a certain activity in supply chain, you can come to these uh, four cycles and then find out this activity belongs to which cycle, and then you can find out that who is responsible for it. Okay, it can go in larger detail. I mean, I did not give it in very detail, but then you can break down all the cycles into activities. Maybe there may be 100 or 50 activities in every cycle. So from operations point of view, from running a supply chain point of view, cycle view uh, is referred. But if we have to talk about strategic decisions, so who should be keeping inventory and where? And then there is a push-pull view. So push and pull view is actually um, coming into picture because of the existence of bullwhip effect. Why push or why pull? Okay, so push means that I want to push my inventory out of the supply chain. That means I predict. First, I predict that what will be the demand. I anticipate that what will be the demand. Once I anticipate what is the demand, after that, I'm going to produce that much amount of inventory. I'm going to keep it. And then I expect that customers should order. So I try to push my inventory, whatever inventory I've made, out of the supply chain. So that is a push view. A push view, and then there is a pull view. Pull view means that uh, I just like Dell, where like old system of Dell, where Dell would wait for a customer to place an order. Once the order is placed, then he's going to take advance also from the customer, and then he's going to make the product in another 15-20 days and then give it to customer. So that is called uh, pull view. That is, you are pulling the demand. Okay, and in push means you are pushing the inventory. Okay, so that's how you should always consider. Pull means you are pulling the demand and then making inventory, and push means you have already anticipated the demand and made the inventory, and now you're trying to push the inventory out of supply chain. So what do you think, push system or pull system will create more bullwhip effect? Give me your opinion. Which will make which will create bullwhip effect more, push view or pull view, or you can say push type of system or pull type of system?